Hey there, Heather Boyd Wire here, and today it's Tip Tuesday. Today we're making a chainmail pendant with the help of the jump ring opener. What you're going to need is 16 gauge wire, 24 gauge wire, your jump rings, variety of sizes, and the jump ring opener. You can get these on Amazon. I'll link them up below. You're going to need your tools. And we're going to start by opening up the jump rings. So you can choose whichever size that you like, whatever size fits the jump ring. And you're going to take the jump ring and just turn it a little half turn, and the jump ring opener holds it while you open it up. So you want to hold it near the opening, just below it, and then just give it a little twist. And you're going to open up all of your jump rings that need to be opened first. So we're going to open up all these connector jump rings. They're the smaller size. You could use about a 5 or 6 millimeter. Probably the 5 is better. And now for the larger jump rings, we want to actually close them because these are going to be closed loops. So we're going to go through and close all the ones that need to be closed. And next, we want to start connecting the jump rings. So we're going to start with these largest ones and then just close the little ring to connect them together. So that's our starting point. I made this design on the live stream. I'll link it up below. I was troubleshooting and now I kind of perfected the design. So we're going to keep connecting the ones that need to be connected. We're going to put a single one at the bottom. This one's a little bit smaller. I used two-tone jump rings, so we have some silver and some gold. You can also make your own jump rings. I showed you how to do that in the live stream, and you can make them as colorful as you like. These ones are copper. You can also make them with aluminum wire. So we're going to hook these together. I will link up below the template where you can follow the pattern more closely. So we're going to keep adding these, putting them together. I was really surprised and happy about how useful this jump ring opener is. I felt it was more comfortable on my thumb. Some people wear it on their finger. So there we have the configuration of jump rings that will go in the bottom of the pendant. So now I'm using my looping pliers just to curve the 16 gauge wire at the bottom, and that will house the first jump ring. So we're going to curve it around a little bit. I cut my wire a little long. Probably you only need about 6 to 8 inches. So we're going to place the curve of the wire right under the first jump ring and then get our 24 gauge wire, cut a good long piece about 18 to 24 inches, and we are going to wind it through. So just holding the jump ring and the frame together with your thumb and your finger, we're going to wind the 24 gauge wire through about 3 times. Depends on how you like the look. I like it with a few more twists, so 3 twists looks really nice and it secures it very well in place. So just give it a little tug so it's nice and secure and just sitting inside, not on top. So then we'll twist the wire a couple of times on either side, working our way up to the second row of jump rings. And then from there, we want to hold the first jump ring in the second row against the frame. Again, not on top, just to the inside of the frame. And we are going to wind that 24 gauge wire through about 3 times. Making sure that the jump ring doesn't shift on top of the frame. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So just twisting it through about 3 times so the jump ring sits inside the frame. And we want a little bit of space between the 2 jump rings on the second row. This you'll be able to adjust as you go. So twist the wire up a couple of times to get towards the next row. And there we have our first 3 jump rings attached in the frame. Now we're going to curve it around because it's going to make a kind of diamond shape. The wire is quite soft, even though it's quite thick, and we are going to attach these medium-sized jump rings together, again using the jump ring opener. So we're going to make a little row of 3, and that will be our center row of jump rings. Just hold it right below the opening and flick of the wrist, close it up. So there we have our middle row of jump rings, and we are going to attach them. So we can still use our jump ring closer. When you get too many jump rings in there, you'll see it gets a little more difficult to use the tool, but it's super handy for opening and closing jump rings. So we're going to get in there and close up the next one. And the other pliers I'm using are the Xuron tweezer nose pliers. These are super handy. Some people like to use curved end pliers for chainmail. There's so many tutorials online that you can check out, and I'll link up a couple of good channels for chainmail if you want to explore this a little further. So now we're going to attach the jump ring to the frame as we did before, holding it just to the inside of the frame and then twisting it up a couple of times. So that's our middle row. And there we have the other one on the middle row to the left side. And we're going to bring the 24 gauge wire through. Takes a little bit of wiggling to get the frame the right size. You'll be adjusting as you go. Pull it nice and snugly so it sits just inside the frame, and twist it around about 3 times. This is the artistic wire. It's tarnish resistant copper, and it's nice and flexible. So wind it up a couple of times. So there we have our middle row, but we're still missing some jump rings. So at that point you can go in and add the jump rings that are missing. And it's tricky to get the jump ring opener in there, so I'm using 2 pairs of pliers to close the jump rings. So 2 flat pliers and just like little flick of the wrist to close up the jump rings. So now we have a row of 2 that we're going to attach. These are the gold, slightly larger jump rings. You can use any size jump rings, just choose the ones you want and maybe set it up first on your table to see that it looks nice, and then the frame kind of molds itself to the shape. And we're going to keep attaching these jump rings to put our row of 2 in there. And you'll see I'm using the pliers because at this point it's a little tricky to get the jump ring opener in there. So whatever you're comfortable with, whatever works for you is great. And again, we're going to wind that 24 gauge wire about 3 times to attach it to the frame, keeping the jump ring to the inside of the frame as opposed to on top. It just looks nicer that way. And pull it nice and snugly. And then you can add jump rings as you need. And then again, get the other pair of flat pliers. These are chain nose pliers. And keep adding our jump rings so it looks like a nice pattern and they're all securely in place. And you can do any little adjusting on the frame as you go to make sure that the jump rings reach the edge of the frame. Just bend it in, wiggle them around, And now you can attach the jump ring to the frame with the 24 gauge wire. As always, I've cut my wires a little bit long, but better too long than too short. So just twist it around. So now we have most of the jump rings in there. We're missing one. So we'll just twist the wires up towards the top on either side. And we will attach the last jump ring. So just get that medium size one. This is a very symmetrical design. Close up the jump ring and then one more to attach it on both sides. And that'll be it for the little jump rings to attach the larger ones, and we just have to twist the top ring into the frame. And make sure when you twist the 24 gauge wire through that you're pulling it nice and snugly so there's no slack. Check that it's a good configuration. You can stretch the frame any way you need to, and then we're just going to curve the frame around the top jump ring. And I'm using my looping pliers to make a little loop centered at the top. Flip it over and do another one right behind that one. So we have two little loops at the top that will be used to attach some rings so you can hang it as a pendant. Now we're going to clip the end flush on both sides. These are the Xuron flush cutters. They work really well. Very good quality tools. I'll link up all my tools in the description below the video. And use the flat pliers just to push it down so there's no pokey edges. And again on the other side. Line them up. And now you can use the end of the wire and actually go through those two loops to line them up even better. And so it'll be nice and solid and secure. So just keep winding it through until you feel like it's nice and secure. Use your flat pliers to pull the wire super tightly so it's going to hold together. Pinch it in and then just flip it and clip it flush. And then you'll want to push that little end in so it's not scratchy. And now we'll finish off the other end. As you see, I cut my wire way too long. You could have trimmed it too as you got towards the top when you know how much wire you're going to need. But sometimes when you're making a piece like this, you're not sure how much wire you're actually going to need. So again, cut it flush. And then use your flat pliers to tuck in that little end. Line up the rings if they've shifted a little bit. Give it a little pinch. And do any adjusting by hand. So now I'm going to use two slightly larger jump rings at the top. You can use your tool again to open them up. And these are the jump rings that will hang the pendant on a cord. So we'll just use two, it looks nicer. You can put as many jump rings as you want at the top. And there you have your beautiful chainmail pendant in a frame. And I also tried to make this design with loops around the outside, but I found it didn't look as nice. So thanks so much for watching the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for lots more wire art and jewelry making videos. And if you'd like to share photos of your wire art and jewelry, be sure to join the Wire Makers Club on Facebook. And if you'd like to check out my work on Etsy, my husband and I specialize in custom wedding cake toppers and funky jewelry. I also have a mailing list, so if you'd like to sign up below, I'll send you my Wire Art Essentials ebook. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you the next time.